Hello, good morning students. In the previous video we have discussed coherent sources and incoherent sources. The two sources are said to be coherent if the light waves emitted from the two sources are having a constant phase difference between them or zero phase difference between them. So the phenomena of interference we need to discuss. So interference of light. The phenomena of interference to observe in the laboratory we require two coherent sources. The phenomena of a modification in the intensity of light due to redistribution of light energy when two or more waves of light superpose each other is called interference. So we will be discussing two other properties of light, namely the interference of light and the diffraction of light. So in ray optics we have discussed the rectilinear propagation of light, reflection of light, the refraction of light, dispersion of light, uh, total internal reflection of light. Further we will be discussing interference of light as well as diffraction of light, the two other properties of light. So before we go into the details of interference of light, we discuss the cases of superposition of waves in our day-to-day life. For that, if you drop a small pebble or a stone on a calm water surface, the water molecules get disturbed, they start oscillating about their mean position. The disturbance set up over the surface of the water travels in the form of waves consisting of alternate crusts and troughs. The waves travel with a constant speed away from the point of disturbance. So here this is the point of disturbance. The solid red circles are crusts. The dotted line circles are called the trough. The water molecules which are equidistant from the source, they get disturbed simultaneously. Then they vibrate in the same phase, means all these particles are in the same position and their direction of motion is also same, hence they are all vibrating in the same phase difference between them is 0. Then a locus of all these water molecules which are in the same state of vibration is a circle called as a spherical wavefront. So according to Huygens principle, each point on the wavefront acts as a secondary source. From secondary source, secondary wavelets emerge. So here the waves move away from the point of disturbance and we notice the waves advancing away from the source consisting of alternate crusts and troughs, but our eyes only notice the circular ripples, they are the crusts, but our eyes cannot notice the troughs. In case of crusts, the water molecules vibrate about their mean position, The water molecules rises up from the mean position. Here the water molecules are pushed down below the mean position or equilibrium position. So the circular ripples that are generated over the surface of the water consists of alternate crusts and troughs, but we notice only the crust, that is the circular ripples advancing away from the point of disturbance. If you place a paper boat at a distant point, the paper boat after some time set into oscillation. In other words, the wave carry both momentum and energy and hence the paper boat starts oscillating. Suppose if you put two sticks just in front of the point source, if you place two sticks, then the wavefront gets transmitted through the gap between the two sticks. Just in front of these two sticks, we place three more sticks such that two gaps are provided. The wavefront from the source S reaching to the two gaps is divided into two parts called as a division of a wavefront. Division of wavefront. The spherical wavefront will be divided into two parts. The transmitted waves again traverses in all possible direction from the two sources S1 and S2. Here both S1 and S2 are called as coherent sources. Since the phase difference between these two crusts is 0, later time if a trough comes out, here also trough comes out from S2, the phase difference is 0. The phase relationship between the waves coming out from both S1 and S2 remains constant. There are some points in this region where the water waves superpose each other or interfere each other or intersect each other. So this is the point where crust of S1 falls on the crust of S2. This is the point both crusts interfere, both troughs interfere, again crust, trough, crust, trough. So if we consider this particular point, say the crusts are interfering each other, constructive interference takes place, crust falls on a crust at a point P, right? A and B are the amplitudes of the waves coming from S1 and S2. At this particular point, a resultant wave is formed. Resultant wave has a resultant amplitude. Resultant amplitude is a sum total of amplitudes due to individual wave because of constructive interference. And if I consider some other point where the troughs interfere or superpose each other, trough falling over a trough at a point, right? The trough falls over a trough, resultant amplitude. Here the waves reinforce each other. The resultant amplitude is again A plus B. Resultant amplitude is the sum total of the amplitudes due to individual wave. So the resultant wave is formed at the points P. In both the cases, the resultant amplitude becomes maximum. If resultant amplitude becomes maximum, the intensity of the wave also becomes maximum. So there are points in this region where crust falls on a trough. Here is the point, crust falls on a trough. Crust falls on a trough at a point P. This is the crust and this is the trough. Crust falls on a trough. Cancel each other's effect. The resultant amplitude will be minimum, that is A minus B, called as a destructive interference of water waves at this particular point where the crust falls on a trough. Later time, at the same point, trough of S1 will fall on a crust of S2. Means if you conduct this experiment for a short duration, during all that time, these are the points always destructive interference takes place, whereas these are the points always constructive interference takes place. Since the sources being coherent, the phase relationship between the waves arriving at the respective points remains constant. If you consider two independent sources, suppose the water waves are arriving from two independent sources, then the phase relationship between the waves arriving at these points do not remain constant, and at the same point one time constructive interference, the other time destructive interference may take place. So the same analogy holds good for the light also. So here this is the single slit, rectangular slit, illuminated by a monochromatic light. The wavefront which reaches to the two other sources of light, S1 and S2, divide into two parts. Divided parts of the wavefront superpose each other at various points in this region. At some points constructive interference takes place, at other points destructive interference takes place throughout the experiment. Okay. So the interference pattern or alternate bright fringes and dark fringes pattern is obtained in case of light, provided the sources being coherent. The distance of sources must be very small. Both the sources must be equidistant from the single source, and the screen is to be placed at an appropriate distance from the plane of two slits. Suppose if source of light, considering only one rectangular slit of a large width, the light transmitted from the slit gets distributed uniformly on the screen. Now instead of one single source, if you consider the two coherent sources, then the light waves coming from the two coherent sources superpose each other at various points on the screen, either constructively or destructively, resulting in formation of alternate bright bands and dark bands. So the point where the dark band is formed, light waves are interfering each other, light adding to light produce darkness. This is only possible in physics pertaining to interference of light. But in day-to-day life, what we say, light adding to light, the brightness of the surface increases. But here in case of interference, light adding to light produce darkness, the point where the waves interfere or intersect or superpose each other destructively. That's why according to law of conservation of energy, the energy neither being created nor destroyed. The energy lost in the dark band appears in the bright band. That is the point where the constructive interference takes place, the intensity of light will be more. So the light energy which is lost in the dark band appears in the bright band. That's why we call it as modification in the intensity of light due to redistribution of light energy. Energy lost in the dark band appears in the bright band. That's why we call redistribution of light energy when two or more waves of light superpose each other is called interference of light. The suitable examples for this interference of light in a day-to-day life, the soap bubbles, when they are illuminated with a sunlight or white light, they appear colorful. Means the soap film has a certain thickness. The light incident on the soap film undergo reflection at a upper surface of the film and the lower surface of the film. The reflected light from these two surfaces superpose each other constructively or destructively. The colors which undergo constructive interference, those colors what we observe. The colors which undergo destructive interference, those colors will be missing. That's why the soap bubble appears with some 4-5 colors. If you see, the 2 colors remain absent. When the position of the soap bubble changes, the colors appear to change, because the colors which have undergone destructive interference at other position, the colors undergo constructive interference. The colors appear to change in a soap bubble because of phenomena of interference. Similarly, the oil or the grease from the vehicles spilled in water during a rainy season illuminated with a light appears colorful. So these are the two examples for the interference of light in our day-to-day life. Thereby we go for the theory of interference. Before we go for theory of interference, you need to recall the Thomas Young's double slit experiment. Thomas Young's double slit experiment. So Young's double slit experiment. So these are the two cardboards. Red light, bulb emitting red light, it is a monochromatic source. If you use a mercury bulb, it gives out white light, it is a polychromatic light. So here we are going for monochromatic light. S is a rectangular slit made in the cardboard which is placed just in front of the source of light. Another cardboard with two rectangular slit S1 and S2 is placed very close to S. Here the rectangular slit, in physics, this rectangular slit made in the cardboard through which the light gets transmitted is also regarded as a source of light, right? Actually the bulb is the real source, but in physics we consider this rectangular slit through which the light gets emitted is also considered to be a source of light. Likewise, S1 and S2 are also the two coherent sources of light. The wavefront emitted from S reaches to both the S1 and S2. That wavefront will be divided into parts. Divided parts of the wavefront superpose each other at various points on the screen, resulting in formation of alternate bright and dark bands. This is the center of the screen O. So the waves from S1 and S2 arrive in phase difference between the waves superposing each other at the center of the screen is 0. Constructive interference takes place and a bright band is formed at the center of the screen. So here this is the screen, center of the screen. The central band is a bright band. The source being monochromatic with red color, the bands are also red in color. If the source of light, if we change to green color, we get a green color bands separated by dark spaces in between. So here these are all the points waves arrive in phase, the phase difference being 0. Constructive interference takes place, bright fringes been formed on the screen. All bright fringes are equally bright and equally spaced. They are separated by dark spaces of a same width. So this is a Young's double slit experiment performed in the laboratory to obtain the interference pattern consisting of alternate bright and dark bands. So this is the actual experiment. Before that, just we have overlooked that Young's double slit experiment. Let us discuss the theory of interference. So you know what are coherent sources, and interference pattern is possible only with coherent sources. Theory of interference. Let two coherent sources S1 and S2 emit light waves of a same frequency traveling with the same speed in a given medium, say air medium, along the same direction. Nearly same direction the waves from S1 and S2 are traversing. Let A and B their amplitudes. Let A and B their amplitudes. Pi be the phase difference between the waves at a point of superposition. The point will be on the screen. At that particular point, the waves will be arriving. The waves arriving at various points have phase difference pi, and amplitudes of the waves are A and B. When these waves arrive at a point P, the particle at the point P gets disturbed due to the waves reaching to that particular point. The displacements due to two waves at a point at any instant of time t is given by y1 equals to a sin omega t. The actual equation of the wave is a sin omega t minus kx. X, if I take it as a 0, then kx reduces to 0. Thereby I do write a displacement of the particle at a point P when the wave from the source S1 reaches in time t is a sin omega t. Y2 is the displacement of the same particle at a point P for the wave y2 reaching to this point simultaneously at a time t be b sin omega t plus pi, where pi is the phase difference between the two waves. So here in this diagram, if I take some point, arbitrary point over here, the waves from S1 and S2 will be reaching to this point also. The waves arrive in phase, there exists a phase difference. Here the phase difference at the center of the screen is a 0. So these are all the points. The path difference, the distance traveled by the wave from both S1 and S2 being the same, the phase difference is also 0. The phase difference is 0, the path difference being 0. But if I consider some point over here, there is a path difference between the waves arriving at this particular point from both S1 and S2. S2 is close, where S1 is a bit far. There exists a path difference. Correspondingly, there exists a phase difference. But though there is a phase difference, the waves arrive in phase. Constructive interference takes place at this particular point. So at this point, when these waves reach, there will be displacement of the particle at this point due to the waves from the coherent sources. The displacements, we are writing it as y1 equals to a sin omega t, y2 is b sin omega t plus pi, where omega is angular frequency measured in a radian per second, and phase difference, pi is the phase difference, it is measured in radian. Then according to principle of superposition of waves, okay, when two or more waves superpose each other at a point, a resultant wave is formed. The resultant displacement of a resultant wave is vector sum of displacements due to individual waves. That's why the resultant displacement at that point due to formation of a resultant wave is given by y vector sum of displacements due to individual waves. or resultant displacement is a sin omega t plus b sin omega t plus pi. A sin omega t plus b, if we expand this, sin a plus b is sin a cos b, cos a sin b. That way sin omega t cos pi, cos omega t sin pi. Then rearranging the terms, we can write a plus b cos pi into sin omega t. A sin omega t, b sin omega t cos pi. Okay. If I take a sin omega t common, then sin omega t common, I do get in the bracket a plus b cos pi. Similarly here, b into cos omega t sin pi, b into sin pi cos omega t, I will write b into sin pi cos omega t. Let us call this as equation 1. If r is the resultant amplitude of the resultant wave, what is the resultant wave? Resultant wave is the point where the two waves meet at a time t. There, at that particular point, a resultant wave is formed, and capital R is the resultant amplitude of the resultant wave. Let a plus b cos pi is equals to r cos theta, b sin pi we write it as r sin theta. Let us call them as equation 2 and equation 3. Then equation 1 becomes resultant displacement y equals to r sin omega t cos theta plus r cos omega t sin theta. This we can rewrite it as resultant displacement y equals to r sin omega t plus theta. Let us call this as equation 4. When the two waves arrive at a point P simultaneously, a resultant wave is formed. Resultant displacement of resultant wave is y equals to r sin omega t plus theta, where r is a resultant amplitude, omega is angular frequency, and theta is the phase difference between the resultant wave and the first wave. Pi is the phase difference between the two individual waves, where theta is the phase difference between the resultant wave and the first wave. So this is the equation of resultant wave. When two waves arrive at a particular point at a time t, angular frequency remains the same. Angular frequency of a resultant wave is the same as the angular frequency of the individual waves. Only the amplitude of the wave changes. The expression for resultant amplitude. Expression for resultant amplitude are squaring and adding equations 2 and 3. Squaring and adding equations 2 and 3. Squaring and adding equations 2 and 3. R square sin square theta plus R square cos square theta equals to, that is equals to b square sin square pi plus a square plus 2ab cos pi plus b square cos square pi. Or taking a r square common, we can write sin square pi plus cos square pi, which reduces to 1. B square, if I take common, and I can write sin square pi plus cos square pi plus a square plus 2ab cos pi. Sin square pi plus cos square pi is also 1. Sin square pi plus cos square pi is 1. Therefore, square of the resultant amplitude r square equals to a square plus b square plus 2ab cos pi, or r equals to under root a square plus b square plus 2ab cos pi. So in the right hand side there are three terms, a square, b square and 2ab cos pi. So resultant amplitude depends on the phase difference between the waves arriving at various points on the screen. Since the amplitudes of the waves are constant, so only this third term is a variable term called as the interference term. This interference term decides the resultant amplitude, whether the waves are uh, arriving at a point either constructively or destructively. Resultant amplitude is maximum or minimum is decided by the third term 2ab cos pi, called as the interference term. The conditions for constructive interference: crust falling over a crust or a trough falling over a trough. The points where the constructive interference takes place, there the brightness of the screen is maximum, resultant intensity is a maximum. Resultant intensity at a point on the screen I is a maximum when a resultant amplitude R is a maximum. As I said, R depends on the interference term, that is a 2ab cos pi. So the intensity of a light at a point on the screen for the light waves reaching from the two coherent sources S1 and S2 is a maximum when the resultant amplitude R is a maximum. Since the intensity of light is directly proportional to square of the amplitude we have discussed in the earlier video, thus we have R equals to a square plus b square plus 2ab cos pi. So this is the term that determines when the R to be maximum and when R to be minimum. For I to be maximum, R to be maximum when cos pi is 1, or pi value must be 0, plus or minus 2 pi, plus or minus 4 pi, plus or minus 6 pi. So you can visualize this fact referring to this particular diagram. This is the center of the screen. These are the dark bands. They are equally spaced. The waves arriving at this particular point undergo constructive interference. Here also constructive interference. B0 is a central bright band, B1 is a first bright band on the right hand side of the screen, B2 is a second bright band, B1 dash, B2 dash are the bright bands to the left of the central bright band, whereas D1, D2, D3 are the dark bands. D1 dash, D2 dash and D3 dash are the dark bands on the other side of the center of the screen. Here the phase difference between the waves arriving at these points is 0. For a first bright band the phase difference is 2 pi. For second bright band the phase difference is 4 pi. Likewise 6 pi, 8 pi, even a multiple of a pi is that is a 2n pi is the condition for the brighter fringes to be formed. Whereas for dark fringes, the phase difference between the waves arriving at this particular point is pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, odd multiple of a pi. Then the dark bands or dark fringes are being formed due to destructive interference. Likewise, here intensity to be maximum, resultant amplitude to be maximum if cos pi is 1 or pi value is 0, plus or minus 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi. In general, the phase difference must be plus or minus even multiple of pi or integral multiple of 2 pi where n takes values 0, 1, 2, 3. If phase difference is 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, 10 pi, 12 pi, then constructive interference takes place. The resultant amplitude is a maximum and also the resultant intensity of light is maximum. Definitely there will be a path difference between the waves arriving at various points on the screen. The path difference delta is been calculated if you know the phase difference using this particular relation. So path difference delta is lambda by 2 pi into phase difference. Here lambda by 2 pi, the phase difference is plus or minus 2n pi. Here 2 pi held cancel, then it is a plus or minus n lambda. So the path difference, if it is a integral multiple of lambda, if phase difference is 2 pi, path difference is 1 lambda. If phase difference is 4 pi, path difference is 2 lambda. If phase difference is 6 pi, path difference is 3 lambda. If a path difference is the integral multiple of lambda, then a constructive interference takes place. So these are the two conditions in terms of both phase difference as well as a path difference for constructive interference, that is bright fringes to be formed. Thus, for constructive interference, the phase difference between the two waves must be even multiple of a pi or path difference must be integral multiple of lambda. Further, conditions for destructive interference. Resultant intensity I at a point on the screen is a minimum when a resultant amplitude R is minimum. So we have an expression for resultant amplitude R equals to A square plus B square plus 2AB cos pi. Here R equals to R minimum when cos pi is minus 1. Minus 1 into 2ab is minus 2ab. A square plus b square, in that if you subtract 2ab, then R will take minimum value. If R is a minimum, then the intensity of light at that particular point is minimum where the waves from S1 and S2 arrive at. So cos pi must be minus 1 or pi equals to plus or minus pi, plus or minus 3 pi, plus or minus 5 pi, or plus or minus 2n plus 1 pi, where n takes values 0, 1, 2, 3. When n equals to 0, then we get plus or minus pi. When n equals to 1, we get plus or minus 3 pi. When n equals to 2, we get 2 into 2, 4 plus 5, plus or minus 5 pi we get. For destructive interference, for a dark band or fringe to be formed, the phase difference must be odd multiple of pi. Odd multiple of pi. Also, the path difference delta must be lambda by 2 pi times 2n plus 1 pi. Pi held cancel, then plus or minus 2n plus 1, it is an odd number, lambda by 2. For destructive interference, the path difference must be odd multiple of lambda by 2. Phase difference must be odd multiple of pi, path difference must be odd multiple of lambda by 2. Thus, for a destructive interference, the phase difference between the two waves arriving at a point on the screen must be odd multiple of pi or path difference between them must be odd multiple of lambda by 2. Now Young's double slit experiment. So S1 and S2 are serve as a coherent sources. They are the rectangular slits made in the cardboard. S is also a rectangular slit made in the cardboard, and this single source S is placed just in front of a monochromatic source of light. The wavefront from S reaches simultaneously to S1 and S2. There the wavefront will be divided into two parts. Divided wavefronts superpose each other at various points on the screen, either constructively or destructively, resulting in formation of alternate bright and dark bands on the screen. So here the Young's double slit experiment consists of a narrow rectangular slit S illuminated by a monochromatic light. One particular wavelength of light or single colored light is called monochromatic light. Multicolored light is called as polychromatic. White light is polychromatic since it comprises of 7 colors. The light from slit S illuminates the two identical closely lying slits S1 and S2, which acts as both S1 and S2 acts as coherent sources. Both the slits are equidistant from S. This distance is must be same. The width of the slits must be very narrow. In other words, the width must be fraction of a millimeter. If widths are too large, if S1 and S2 are the rectangular slit with larger width, then interference pattern disappears. The light gets distributed uniformly. So the slit width must be very narrow. The waves emerging from S1 and S2 get superimpose or superpose or interfere each other, and interference fringes are produced on the screen. This is the center of the screen. On either side of the center of the screen, alternate bright and dark bands are formed. Here the path difference is 0, phase difference is 0. Here the phase difference is 2 pi and 4 pi. On other side it is minus 2 pi and minus 4 pi. That is even multiple of pi is the phase difference. Then bright bands are being formed. If a odd multiple of pi, 3 pi are the phase differences, then in between these bright red colored fringes there are dark spaces called dark fringes. The phase difference for the dark fringes to be formed is odd multiple of pi, whereas the path difference 0, lambda, 2 lambda. Here minus lambda, minus 2 lambda. For dark fringes, for destructive interference, dark fringes are being formed in between two bright bands. The path difference is lambda by 2. Here it is 3 lambda by 2, odd multiple of lambda by 2. Then the dark fringes are being resulted. Further, the interference pattern will have the following characteristics. What are the characteristics of these bands, bright and dark bands formed over the screen due to superposition of waves from two coherent sources? Number one, the interference pattern has alternate bright and dark fringes of equal width. The distance between the center of the distance between the centers of the two consecutive dark bands is called fringe width, denoted by beta. Similarly, the distance between the centers of two bright bands is called as a fringe width, denoted by beta. So later we will be deriving an expression for the fringe width. It depends on what factor, how it varies, and also the fringe widths of the bright bands and dark bands are same or different, that we will discuss later. Time being, you bear in mind the fringe width is denoted by beta. The fringe width is the distance between the centers of two consecutive dark bands, or the distance between the centers of the two consecutive bright bands. The second characteristic is all bright fringes B0, B1, B2, B1 dash, B2 dash, they have equal intensity, equally bright. Third one, all dark fringes have zero intensity. These dark fringes have zero intensity, means light adding to light produce darkness. Fourth one, at the center of the screen, bright fringe is formed. Here bright fringe has been formed. As the sources S1 and S2 are identical, means the widths of both S and S2 rectangular slit must be same, then amplitudes will become same. Means the amplitude of the wave coming from S1 is say A, then amplitude of the wave coming from S2 is also A. For constructive interference, resultant amplitude R becomes 2A, and for destructive interference, where the dark bands are formed, resultant amplitude becomes 0, then the intensity of light also becomes 0. If amplitudes of the waves coming from S1 and S2 are not same, then the dark band is not completely dark, it is less bright compared to the bright bands. So clearly you can visualize the conditions here. This is a central bright band, first bright band, second bright band on one side of the screen. On the other side of the screen, first bright band, second bright band, and in between we have the dark bands D1, D2, D3 are dark bands, D1 dash, D2 dash, D3 dash are the dark bands on the other side of the screen. If you plot a graph of intensity of a light on the screen versus phase difference or path difference, the nature of the graph will be like this. So these are all the points. The path difference, phase difference is 0. Strictly speaking, the intensity on either side of the center of the screen in the bright band itself, this is the bright band, decreases, but for an experimenter, the experimenter cannot notice the decrease in the intensity of the light on either side of the center of the bright band. On either side of the center of the bright band, the intensity of light decreases, but it is not being noticed by the experimenter, but strictly speaking, the intensity decreases on either side of the bright band. So for a central bright band, the phase difference is 0. For first bright band, phase difference is 2 pi. Second bright band, it is 4 pi. For bright fringes, the phase difference must be even multiple of pi or integral multiple of 2 pi. The path difference must be integral multiple of lambda. For a central bright fringe, the path difference is 0. First bright fringe path difference is lambda. Second bright fringe, the path difference is 2 lambda on one side. On the other side, again first bright band, the path difference is minus lambda. Second bright band, the path difference is minus 2 lambda. Yes, for dark fringes, the phase difference must be odd multiple of pi. 1 pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, 7 pi, 9 pi. Odd multiple of pi, that is the phase difference between the waves arriving at these points from the two sources S1 and S2. Destructive interference takes place. Dark fringes are being formed, and condition is the phase difference must be odd multiple of pi and path difference must be odd multiple of lambda by 2. So here it is lambda by 2 and here 3 lambda by 2, 5 lambda by 2. Odd multiple of lambda must be the path difference between the waves arriving at the points where the dark fringes are being formed or destructive interference takes place. This is all about the theory of interference, and we have discussed the conditions for the constructive interference and destructive interference. Light emerging from the two coherent sources. In the next class, we discuss how to calculate the resultant intensity for any arbitrary phase difference between the waves arriving at a point, and also we discuss the expression for the fringe width, that is beta. The fringe width is the distance between the centers of two consecutive bright fringes or dark fringes. So in the next video we discuss the expression for the fringe width, and we have to show that the width of dark fringe is equals to the width of bright fringe. Thank you.